Good morning, my friends. Happy Monday. It's a good day to be alive. It's Monday. You know what that means? It's a fresh start. It's an opportunity to make those changes and do the things you don't want to do. But you know you got to do, right? Yay for Mondays. I love Mondays. It's like the Lord reaches down and says, all right, I'm going to give you another chance. Get it, girl. All right. June 10th, the war between Baasha and Asa, 1 Kings 15, 16 through 22. There was constant war between King Asa of Judah and King Baasha of Israel. King Baasha of Israel invaded Judah and fortified Ramah in order to prevent anyone from entering or leaving King Asa's territory in Judah. Asa responded by removing all the silver and gold that was left in the treasuries of the temple of the Lord and the royal palace. He sent it with some of his officials to Ben-Hadad, son of Tabrimmon, son of Hezion, the king of Aram, who was ruling in Damascus, along with this message. Let there be a treaty between you and me, like the one between your father and my father. See, I am sending you a gift of silver and gold. Break your treaty with King Baasha of Israel, so he will leave me alone. Ben-Hadad agreed to King Asa's request and sent the commanders of his army to attack the towns of Israel. They conquered the towns of Ijon, Dan, Abel, Bethmaachah, and all Kinnereth, and all the land of Naphtali. As soon as Baasha of Israel heard what was happening, he abandoned his project of fortifying Ramah and withdrew to Tirzah. Then King Asa sent an order throughout Judah, requiring that everyone, without exception, help to carry away the buildings, stones, and timbers that Baasha had been using to fortify Ramah. Asa used these materials to fortify the town of Geba in Benjamin and the town of Mizpah. 2 Chronicles 16, 1 through 10. In the 36th year of King Asa's reign, King Baasha of Israel invaded Judah and fortified Ramah in order to prevent anyone from entering or leaving King Asa's territory in Judah. Asa responded by removing the silver and gold from the treasuries of the temple of the Lord and the royal palace. He sent it to King Ben-Hadad of Aram, who was ruling in Damascus, along with this message. Let there be a treaty between you and me, like the one between your father and my father. See, I am sending you silver and gold. Break your treaty with King Baasha of Israel so that he will leave me alone. Ben-Hadad agreed to King Asa's request and sent the commanders of his army to attack the towns of Israel. They conquered the towns of Ijon, Dan, Abel Bethmaachah, and all the store cities in Naphtali. As soon as Baasha of Israel heard what was happening, he abandoned his project of fortifying Ramah and stopped all work on it. Then King Asa called out all the men of Judah to carry away the building stones and timbers that Baasha had been using to fortify Ramah. Asa used these materials to fortify the towns of Geba and Mizpah. At that time, Hanani the seer came to King Asa and told him, because you have put your trust in King Aram instead of in the Lord your God, you missed your chance to destroy the army of King Aram. Don't you remember what happened to the Ethiopians and Libyans and their vast army with all of their chariots and charioteers? At that time you relied on the Lord, and he handed them over to you. The eyes of the Lord search the whole earth in order to strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to him. What a fool you have been. From now on, you will be at war. Asa became so angry with Hanani for saying this that he threw himself into prison and put him in stocks. He didn't throw himself. I can't read. Asa became so angry with Hanani for saying this that he threw him into prison and put him in stocks. At that time, Asa began to oppress some of his people. Summary of Baasha's reign, 1 Kings 16, 1 through 7. This message from the Lord was delivered to King Baasha by the prophet Jehu, son of Hanani. I lifted you out of the dust to make you ruler of my people Israel, but you have followed the evil example of Jeroboam. You have provoked my anger by causing my people Israel to sin. So now I will destroy you and your family, just as I destroyed the descendants of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. The members of Baasha's family who will die in the city will be eaten by dogs, and those who die in the field will be eaten by vultures. The rest of the events in Baasha's reign and the extent of his power are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. When Baasha died, he was buried in Tirzah. Then his son Elah became the next king. The message from the Lord against Baasha and his family came through the prophet Jehu, son of Hanani. It was delivered because Baasha had done what was evil in the Lord's sight, just as the family of Jeroboam had done, and also because Baasha had destroyed the family of Jeroboam. The Lord's anger was provoked by Baasha's sins. Elah rules in Israel, 1 Kings 16, 8 through 14. Elah, son of Baasha, began to rule over Israel in the 26th year of King Asa's reign in Judah. He reigned in the city of Tirzah for 2 years. Then Zimri, who commanded half the royal chariots, made plans to kill him. One day in Tirzah, Elah was getting drunk at the home of Azra, the supervisor of the palace. Zimri walked in and struck him down and killed him. This happened in the 27th year of King Asa's reign in Judah. Then Zimri became the next king. Zimri immediately killed the entire royal family of Baasha, leaving him not even a single male child. He even destroyed the distant relatives and friends. So Zimri destroyed the dynasty of Baasha as the Lord had promised through the prophet Jehu. This happened because of all the sins Baasha and his son Elah had committed, and because the sins they led Israel to commit. They provoked the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, with their worthless idols. The rest of the events in Elah's reign and everything he did are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. Zimri rules in Israel, 1 Kings 16, 15 through 20. Zimri began to rule over Israel in the 27th year of King Asa's reign in Judah, but his reign in Tirzah lasted only 7 days. The army of Israel was then attacking the Philistine town of Gibbethon. When they heard that Zimri had committed treason and had assassinated the kings, that very day they chose Omri, commander of the army, as the new king of Israel. So Omri led the entire army of Israel up from Gibbethon to attack Tirzah, Israel's capital. When Zimri saw that the city had been taken, he went into the citadel of the palace and burned it down over himself and died in the flames. For he too had done what was evil in the Lord's sight. He followed the example of Jeroboam and all the sins he had committed and led Israel to commit. The rest of the events in Zimri's reign and his conspiracy are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. Omri rules in Israel, 1 Kings 16, 21 through 28. But now the people of Israel were split into 2 factions. Half the people tried to make Tibni, son of Ginath, their king, while the other half supported Omri. But Omri's supporters defeated the supporters of Tibni. So Tibni was killed, and Omri became the next king. Omri began to rule over Israel in the 31st year of King Asa's reign in Judah. He reigned 12 years in all, 6 of them in Tirzah. Then Omri bought the hill now known as Samaria, from its owner, Shemer, for 150 pounds of silver. He built a city on it and called it the city Samaria in honor of Shemer. But Omri did what was evil in the Lord's sight, even more than any of the kings before him. He followed the example of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and all the sins he had committed and led Israel to commit. The people provoked the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, with their worthless idols. The rest of the events in Omri's reign and the extent of his power and everything he did are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. When Omri died, he was buried in Samaria. Then his son Ahab became the next king. Ahab rules in Israel, 1 Kings 16, 29 through 34. Ahab, son of Omri, began to rule over Israel in the 38th year of King Asa's reign in Judah. He reigned in Samaria 22 years. But Ahab, son of Omri, did what was evil in the Lord's sight, even more than any of the kings before him. And as though it were not enough to follow the sinful example of Jeroboam, he married Jezebel, the daughter of King Ethbaal of the Sidonians, and he began to bow down and worship to Baal. First, Ahab built a temple and an altar for Baal in Samaria. Then he set up an Asherah pole. He did more to provoke the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, than any of the other kings of Israel before him. It was during his reign that Hiel, a man from Bethel, rebuilt Jericho. When he laid its foundation, it cost him the life of his oldest son, Abiram. And when he completed it and set up its gates, it cost him the life of his youngest son, Segub. This all happened according to the message from the Lord concerning Jericho, spoken by Joshua, son of Nun. The summary of Asa's reign, 1 Kings 15, 23 through 24. The rest of the events in Asa's reign, the extent of his power, everything he did, and the names of the cities he built are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Judah. In his old age, his feet became diseased. When Asa died, he was buried with his ancestors in the city of David. Then Jehoshaphat, Asa's son, became the next king. 2 Chronicles 16:11 through 14. The rest of the events of Asa's reign from beginning to end are recorded in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. In the 39th year of his reign, Asa developed a serious foot disease. Yet, even with the severity of the disease, he did not seek the Lord's help, but turned only to his physicians. He died in the 41st year of his reign. He was buried in the tomb he carved out for himself in the city of David. He was laid on a bed perfumed with sweet spices and fragrant ointments, and people built a huge funeral fire in his honor. Jehoshaphat rules in Judah. 2 Chronicles 17:1 through 19. Then Jehoshaphat, Asa's son, became the next king. He strengthened Judah to stand against any attack from Israel. He stationed troops in all of the fortified towns of Judah, and he assigned additional garrisons to the land of Judah and to the towns of Ephraim that his father Asa had captured. The Lord was with Jehoshaphat because he followed the example of his father's early years and did not worship the images of Baal. He saw his father's God and obeyed his commands instead of following the evil practices of the kingdom of Israel. So the Lord established Jehoshaphat's control over the kingdom of Judah. All the people of Judah brought gifts to Jehoshaphat, so he became very wealthy and highly esteemed. He was deeply committed to the ways of the Lord. He removed the pagan shrines and Asherah poles from Judah. In the 3rd year of his reign, Jehoshaphat sent his officials to teach in all the towns of Judah. These officials, including Ben-Hail, Obadiah, Zechariah, Nethanel, and Micaiah. He sent Levites along with them, including Shemaiah, Nethaniah, Zebediah, Asahel, Shemiramoth, Jehonathan, Adonijah, Tobijah, and Tob-Adonijah. He also sent out priests Elishama and Jehoram. They took copies of the book of the law of the Lord and traveled around through all the towns of Judah, teaching the people. Then the fear of the Lord fell over all the surrounding kingdoms, so that none of them wanted to declare war on Jehoshaphat. Some of the Philistines brought him gifts and silver as a tribute, and the Arabs brought 7,700 rams and 7,700 male goats. So Jehoshaphat became more and more powerful and built fortresses and storage cities throughout Judah. He stored numerous supplies in Judah's towns and stationed an army of seasoned troops at Jerusalem. His army was enrolled according to ancestral clans. From Judah, there were 300,000 troops organized in units of 1,000 under the command of Adnah. Next in command was Jehohanan, who commanded 280,000 troops. Next was Amasiah, son of Zichri, who volunteered for the Lord's service, with 200,000 troops under his command. From Benjamin, there were 200,000 troops equipped with bows and shields. They were under the command of Eliada, a veteran soldier. Next in command was Jehozabad, who commanded 180,000 armed men. These were the troops stationed in Jerusalem to serve the king, besides those Jehoshaphat stationed in the fortified towns throughout Judah. Elijah fed by ravens, 1 Kings 17:1 through 7. The Lord, the God, I skipped a sentence. Now Elijah, who was from Tishbe in Gilead, told King Ahab, "As surely as the Lord, the God of Israel lives, the God I serve, there will be no dew or rain during the next few years until I give the word." Then the Lord said to Elijah, "Go to the east and hide by the Kerith brook, near where it enters the Jordan River. Drink from the brook and eat what the ravens bring you, for I have commanded them to bring you food." So Elijah did as the Lord told him and camped beside Kerith brook, east of the Jordan. The ravens brought him bread and meat each morning and evening, and he drank from the brook. But after a while, the brook dried up, for there was no rainfall anywhere in the land. Excuse me. All right. Let's read. We're on page 55, about halfway down. I had a friend who experienced incredible trauma when one of her children almost died. Later, she went to a prayer ministry where the woman praying with her asked her to replay the event, picturing where Jesus was throughout every moment of the trauma based on what she knew of his character. When she replayed the event in her mind, she saw him holding her child, his face full of mercy and compassion and care. He was concerned but not flustered. He was moved to mercy. Since my friend told me about her experience, I've tried to do the same thing with tense and terrifying moments in my life. And I'm inviting you into that practice. Knowing our God is full of justice and truth, knowing He crafted your body in your mother's womb, knowing He loves you and He'd leave His entire flock just to come and get you. Where, where do you suppose Jesus was at the moment of your misnaming? How did His face look? Where were His arms? Do you think that maybe in His compassion, all knowing power, there's a possibility He thought about and prayed for this moment in the midst of that one, eagerly anticipating the restoration and redemption you'd experience? I'm asking you a set of incredibly intentional questions about your soul. Do you believe God loves you and cares for you? Do you believe He has mercy and compassion for you in your weakest moments? Do you think He grieves the way your body has been named by you and others? I do, and I do. The God who is full of mercy towards you was absolutely there when you were misnamed. He was broken over the burden being placed on you, and He was already setting a plan in motion so that this wound would be healed and could be used in your life for the good of others and for His glory. I'm not thankful for the moments when my body was named with unholy words and with iniquitous identity, and when an iniquitous identity was attached to me based on how I looked or did not look. I am not thankful for these moments, but I am wildly thankful that God was there, holding me in compassion. And I am thankful He's there now, bringing restoration and redemption when I need it the most. This right now is another moment of mercy, and His compassion and care are ours to receive if we want them. Okay. Good words. Let me get back to the chat. I'm so glad you're here, Nina. All right, my friends. Well, that's it for today. Let's go ahead and end in a word of prayer, okay? God our Father, we come to you today grateful, thankful for this word that you've given us, thankful for the mercy and compassion and love that you show your people over and over and over again, even when we feel like, or even when we know when we least deserve it. You are still there, loving us and offering your forgiveness. God, I thank you today for the message that we've received, for the history of the kings and the message that's hidden within the words there for our hearts. And God, I just pray that you'll help us to constantly be learning and growing and learning who you are throughout the pages of your word. I thank you for the message today in this book. And I thank you for the author and for the wisdom that she brings to us and for the guidance that we're learning there and how to love the bodies that we've been given and the creation that you've so intricately designed and given us. And I pray that you will help us to remember that today as we go through our day, that you will help us to recognize that our bodies are a custom creation and that we should take care of them and feed them well and only feed our bodies things that are honoring to you, God. God, as we go through our day, I pray that you will help us to recognize you in everything that we do, to be a picture of Christ wherever we go, to people that we encounter, whether strangers or friends or family, that you will help us to share the love of Christ wherever we go and to be a picture of you in our communities and to everyone around us. I thank you for your love, for your mercy and your grace and your compassion. In your precious name I pray. Amen. All right, my friends. Sebastian says hi. 49 degrees, Bert. Well, I'm in a hoodie because it's like 52 in the house. So that's how it is. Now I'm going to go outside in 80 degrees and sweat. All right, you guys. I love you so much. I won't be live for breakfast this morning. There's dental appointments happening and I have to go. But I will see you tonight. If you are a client and you are part of Holy Healthy, I will see you tonight for Zoom at 8 p.m. If you're not part of it, come join us. If you are not signed up for the free week of group coaching that starts next Monday, don't miss it. I've been planning and doing stuff for it all week, and I think it's going to be an amazing week. So come join us. You can already join the Marco Polo. It's already up and live, and people are already getting to know each other. So go to joyfullifewithkj.com, and it's right on the front page. It's called 5 for Free. So come join us next week. There's a lot going on. It's going to be an amazing week. And it's my birthday week, so it has to be a good week, right? All right, you guys, I love you so much. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see